Well, at this point in time, we'll be talking about the inaugural Sports Law Workshop. A lecturer, Sports Law, Faculty of Law at the UWI, Dr. Justin Koo, is here with us. And we also have the Dean of the Faculty of Law, Professor Rosemary Bell Antwine. Welcome.
Thank you for having us.
It's a pleasure to have you on, and we understand that on Thursday, 12th of April, we have this workshop. What exactly is this workshop geared to do?
Well, let me start off because most of the talking I think will be done by Dr. Koo today in terms of the workshop, but there's a broader objective in that the Faculty of Law at UWI St. Augustine, we have a number of workshops which correspond especially to some of, I would say, our more cutting-edge courses. So we've had oil and gas workshop, we've had banking law workshop, and sports law is part of that broader vision for continuing legal education, and also part of our AAA strategy, which talks about alignment with the community and national development. So it is in that vein that we hold these high caliber specialist workshops.
Okay. And Dr. Koo, who can we expect? Who are some of the featured speakers?
So I'm co-chairing with my colleague, Mr. Tyrone Marcus, and we have a host of notable individuals coming along as well. We have Mr. Derek Murray, who will be on one of our panels. We have Dinanath Ramnarine, who's also going to be on one of our panels. We have Dr. Jason Haynes coming in from Barbados to talk. And we have our key feature speaker, Professor Ian Blackshaw, who's from the UK.
Wow, and who is this open to? Who's invited to this workshop?
So we have public panels. So those public panels are open to any and everyone to come along. One is at the lunchtime period and then one in the afternoon period. For the rest of it, it's paid. So you come and you can learn some law about sports.
Law. Okay, so for those looking on and those who may not be too familiar with sports law, what exactly is sports law?
Well, that's the quintessential problem at the basis of sports law. What is it? Is it just a bunch of areas of, existing legal areas, or is it something that's nuanced? Is it something in itself? And that's part of the question that we'll be asking at the Sports Law Conference. Well, what is it? So the title of the program is Beyond the Game. Is it just those laws that regulate the ordinary game, or is it something special that goes beyond what we already have in our existing legal areas?
But can I just say, though, that it's also an emerging area, so it's very important. So although we talk about what is it, we know it's already here. So we are hoping to be at the forefront of the new vision for what is sports law.
Okay, so it is currently being offered at UWI.
Yes, so we've started a new course. So Dr. Koo, as you heard, is the chair of the conference, along with another colleague, Mr. Tyrone Marcus. We've just started this, and I should mention, too, that University of the West Indies has just started a sports law faculty. I don't know, a sports faculty, not a sports law faculty. I think the law is hogging the show. It's a sports faculty which is multidisciplinary. That's one of the visions for Vice Chancellor Sir Hilary Bickles. I'm sure you've heard of his interest in cricket, and we've had some leading athletes, Gordon and so on, attend UWI. So it's part of a broader idea of sports as an academic subject.
How beneficial is this program?
Well, I think it's very beneficial because, like Dean said, it's a cutting-edge program. So it's really first exposure in Trinidad in terms of students being able to engage with sports law in any form or capacity. Before, it would be one of those interest areas where you do research on your own, but now we're formally offering it at UWI. And I think that's of great benefit, not just to our students, but also to our athletes, our clubs, our sports enterprises. I think the knowledge gained here will be helpful in the long run because it can help better manage sports. And hopefully some of our students who come out of the program this year can, lead the forefront of, sports in the legal sphere and looking at things like sports agency, which is very underdeveloped in Trinidad.
Okay, so there is a need for this sort of...
Yes, I believe so. Yes.
So what has been the response so far?
Well, in our first class, we've had 54 students, which for an elective module is quite good, when the average is probably about 20 to 30 students.
Because you have a choice in your final year.
Yes.
You have lots of choices, so that's a big number because we have like about 150 students a year, a little less. So many to take that course, it tells you the interest.
So this is a concentration. Is it a concentration, sports law?
When you say concentration?
Like, if you're doing an MBA, you have the marketing concentration or human resource management.
Not quite as yet. So it's just one standalone module, but I think it's one of those modules that, because it's emerging, it's really difficult to pinpoint it to any one particular area as yet. So we haven't developed it on that scale as yet.
Okay, so students looking on, parents even wondering whether they should enroll their children in this particular area. What do you have to tell them?
If you have an appreciation for sports, I would say definitely get involved in it. If you have an appreciation for business or any sort of commercial law, it's definitely on that track.
Business as well?
Yes.
Okay, and you mentioned sport management. That is an area that is lacking here in Trinidad and Tobago?
At UE, there is a sports management program. So this can be seen as, let's say, a sideway program to it, but it really covers the core legal areas of it. And I think that is an area where people haven't really focused on.
And that's where a lot of the controversies recently have been, if you've been paying attention.
Yes. So we hope to, settle that issue there and have it addressed. So Thursday, April 12th, where exactly and what time?
It's at the Queen's Park Cricket Club Ballroom, and it begins from 10 a.m.
All right. What are your closing comments?
Well, just to remind you, as Dr. Koo said, although this is a paid workshop, and we kept it actually at a minimal fee because it's almost like a public service for us. Normally we charge quite a bit for workshops, but this one is quite cheap. But I want to emphasize that the public is invited free for the panel discussions. So there's a panel discussion at 12 at midday, a lunchtime panel on governance. And then there's another panel discussion at 5, is it, Dr. Koo?
Yes, 5.
Which is on doping and cheating and all those lovely things.
Yeah, that's a big
So
one.
even if you're not paying for the workshop, we would allow you, those just the ordinary members of the public, you don't have to be a lawyer. But if you're interested in those very controversial areas, you can come along to the panel.
And that's at 12.
12, and second one is at 5. But the rest of the workshop is a closed workshop where you pay the workshop fee. And we, of course, Faculty of Law University we'd have the details. Did you want to?
Sure.
662-2002, extension 82039. And we also have the UE website also has a Faculty of Law section where the details are there.
Okay, great. And just remind us, who are some of the featured speakers? Who can we expect?
Yep, so other than myself and my colleague, Mr. Tyrone Marcus, we also have Professor Ian Blackshaw coming in from the UK. We have Dr. Jason Haynes coming in from Barbados. We have Derek Murray, Dinanat Ramnarayan, so some notable sport athlete faces.
Yeah, a lot to look forward
But you know,
to.
before I close, I must
Sure.
tell you, he's too modest. But Dr. Koo is also an intellectual property expert.
Okay.
And so that is an interesting part of the whole sports law discussion. IP, as we call it, and sports law. So he'll be speaking on those areas.
Yeah, you care to share a little bit more about what you plan to speak about?
So I'm going to talk about monetizing sports through copyright law. And it's something that we haven't really looked to in the Caribbean because we've been so focused on broadcasting. So my research expertise is actually in communication to the public, which deals with things like transmissions on the internet. So we really need to hit the internet market for broadcasting of sports and not be limited to the analog traditional forms of broadcasting. So that's what I'm going to speak about because intellectual property has a really big part to play in sports law.
How long have you been lecturing?
So I've been lecturing at UE for the last year, but I've been lecturing part-time for 2 years before that.
Okay,
during
great.
my PhD.
All right, well, excellent. Well, thank you so much. Indeed, a pleasure chatting with you. It sounds very, very exciting and interesting. And we invite persons to call that number, 662-2002, extension 82039, correct?
Yes.
All right, great. A pleasure having you.
Thank you very much.